And then I will just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about with the game here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Why is it lagging?
Oh, so it's not this one. Okay.
Should not be doing that. I don't know why it's doing that.
Welcome to circuit. Ready for battle.
Alright, a bit better. Alright. Already, guess we'll go over a couple things in a moment here. Okay, I'm noticing that there's a lot of overuse or misuse of blinks. So we end up wasting a lot of the blinks, where some of them will just kind of go and do nothing. So for example, here I think we kind of double blink twice in a row, and that just kind of ends up wasting the second blink. So here we come in, Roadhog's about to come over in a moment here. Right, we blink out of the way because we think Roadhog's gonna hook. Right, and then notice here I think we duel the Roadhog, and then we blink backwards and then blink a second time, which the second blink there is probably a little bit unnecessary because the first blink just kind of acts as that initial dodge anyways, right? So we blink backwards, we dodge the hook, but then we blink a second time, and that just ends up wasting a blink. And then we're about to do it in a second here again, where we blink in, and then we blink a second time in again, which maybe is a little bit unnecessary. Once again, kind of just wasting these blinks so that we don't have as many up and active. So we just want to be careful that we're not like double blinking, where double blinking's not necessary. And then we'll also maybe go over few more as we go along, but blink is very useful, but we also don't want to waste the blink, so we have them to work with for when we need them.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't realize I had full health, so I tried to blink in to steal the health back so he wouldn't get any of the health back.
Yeah. Nice pulse bomb. Oh, so we just get shot there. We got to be careful that we are not just standing smack dab in the middle of the open. I think so this could be useful for also when we are going up against the Roadhog, but we're going to go over two different things here. First thing we are going to go over is positioning. So this is general positioning. How should we be standing up against enemies on most characters in this game? Firstly, yeah, if we're just standing right here and the enemy team's standing over there and they're looking at us and shooting at us, it's going to take 1, 2, 3 seconds to get behind cover. Now, it's just standard walk time. Let's say we don't have blinks, or let's say we don't want to have to use blinks because then that's just wasting cooldowns. It takes us 3 seconds, and in that time we ended up dying. Because the enemy team's shooting at us and we just get shredded. We lose our health. But you cannot shoot through solid objects, so if we're behind the wall here, you cannot get shot at. You're perfectly safe. So if we're standing right here, now we do largely the same amount of stuff, especially if we're getting closer and using closer objects. We can do the same amount of stuff, except for now we can instantly put enemies around the corner in half a second. So this is just usage of cover. Good positioning is the usage of cover, whereas bad positioning is the absence of cover. So, very easy way to... Yeah. That's gonna... Honestly, that's a big, major point in the game, and also in a lot of other games as well. And in life, if anyone's ever shooting at you, get behind something.
Gotta got you.
Yep. So that's gonna be very handy. It instantly negates all damage. And cover's all over the place, right? Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. If I'm standing right here, right, no, you can use the slope. You can use pillars when you're reloading. In between shots, when you are being shot at, people are using abilities against you. Corners, same thing. Random objects like the payload you can use. Pillar, doorway, corner. Wait. Pillar, corner, doorway, corner, doorway. High grounds all act as natural cover. They can see you. Now they can't. They can see you. Now they can't. So make sure we're using cover. That's going to be a big one. That is an easy way to dodge a hog hook, for example. So instead of, like, when we were like standing in the doorway, and instead of just blinking and wait, oh, I went the wrong way there. Instead of blinking and now wasting an ability, all we have to do is just go like this. And now, even if Hog hits the hook, we can actually break the hook on the door, and it'll detach from us. So we just want to use the cover, and that's an easy way to dodge hooks. And then you can blink, of course, if you don't have a corner cover to use. That's perfectly acceptable. But all makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Sure, all right. Then next.
Yeah, that's actually. Oh, that was actually like a really good. I'm gonna do that.
I would hope so. Yep. And yeah, it's something to constantly get used to. Even pros aren't always wonderful at it. You know, it's something to always be practicing at. But next thing here we're gonna go over is crosshair placement. Is that a term that you're familiar with at all?
No.
No, all good. Crosshair placement.
Your crosshair is basically the same one I have, except for mine doesn't spread when I shoot.
Oh yeah, this one doesn't spread when you shoot either.
Yeah, yep. So I have the same crosshair.
Well, yeah, I like this usually just for like hit scan characters. Some projectile characters and characters that don't require headshots, I'll use dot. Just because you don't hit headshots with them, so it's not as a necessity to place on their shoulders, where crosshairs you can place on shoulders to hit headshots, that sort of thing. So this is actually the next thing we're going to talk about. So crosshair placement is essentially placing your crosshair in the best place possible to hit the easiest shots possible. It's just a way to use your brain to help out your aim. And the first basic step to crosshair placement is aiming at head level to hit headshots. Now I'm going to swap to a different character just to demonstrate this a little bit easier than Tracer. But headshots in Overwatch do across most characters 2 times damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right. So there's you're doing basically 2 times damage, and that equates to the difference between shredding someone like that and then shredding someone like that, right? You're doing a lot less damage, and the faster you kill someone, the better for you. So you want to be aiming for head shots, and the very easy way to do this is to make sure that we're walking around aiming up here at head level versus walking around looking here, which is what we're kind of doing in our game. This means that, yep, Yep, that means that, like, if you're just coming and shooting at people normally, like let's say you're just shooting into shields, around corners, you just naturally hit body shots if you're aiming down here. But if you're aiming up at head level, now you're just doing the same stuff. You just are naturally hitting headshots because you're just placing your crosshair up higher. Make sense?
Yeah.
Next step to crosshair placement is aiming where you know people are going to be, or pre-aiming. Bots top left, so we pre-aim top left. That way when he comes around the corner, we're already aiming at their head. It's very easy shots to land because we're already aiming there. They're on left side here. We're going to come around the corner already looking left. So we come around the corner already looking at their head. These guys are on a slope, so the same way we would look down on a Torbjorn and up on a tank. We're going to look down on these guys so that when we turn this corner here, we're just already looking at their heads. Right, very easy shots to land. All make sense? Any questions?
Yeah. No, I'm actually in the practice mode right now. I'm going to try that.
Gotcha.
I'm in the same spot as you. Okay, I see.
All right. Sounds good. Why don't we hop back in for the moment, and we might be back here at some point, but we will go over. I guess one thing, not that I haven't seen you do this yet, but it's just always a handy tech to go over with people anyways for Tracer. So we'll go over it now. Not to say that you don't know it already, but it's just handy to go over anyways. If your blink range is about 8 meters, so that means that this is 10 meters right here. So that means that if we are 10 meters away, we can blink and melee someone. This is going to be handy as a finisher usually, because it preserves ammo, and then let's say we don't have any ammo, it could be handy to finish off a target. Noting that melee does 30 damage, which is like just a hair over the 25, which is like the tick mark there. So that's how much damage you do with melee. You can actually convert this blink melee tech, which that one's a little bit advanced. To be quite honest, I wouldn't really worry about that as of the moment. This next one, though, I would worry about more. The first one, honestly, you're not going to have to worry about blink meleeing for a little while. That's a little bit down the road of advanced tech. But this next one is going to be super handy, and that is a blink pulse bomb. Pulse bomb, you want to be landing from close range. You don't want to chuck pulse bomb from back here, because that's going to be very hard and inaccurate. But if we're up here on somebody, at this point, it's almost difficult to miss a pulse bomb, because we'd have to look that way, or this way, or up there, right? There our entire screen. So at this point, pulse bomb is difficult to land, and usually you don't want to just, like, walk at someone in a straight line and then get on top. They're not going to let you do that. So easy way to do that is to blink up on them, and now you're here automatically. Like, you're instantly here, right? So learn the range with your blinks and get used to blink pulse bomb, so we can blink in, pulse bomb, and then we can either walk away, we can blink away, or we can recall away. Typically, recalling is if it's like a super dangerous position. Blink if you have it, and then if you don't have anything, then you can walk away. That's fine. But it looks something like this, where we are going to blink, pulse bomb, blink back. And that's an easy way to land a pulse bomb, rather than just trying to chuck it or just walk up to someone. It's going to be faster and more efficient. So that might be one to try out.
Welcome to ready for battle.
So notice here how when we die, or firstly when we pulse bomb, notice this one's decent, but we do kind of walk up on the soldier. So a better soldier might just helix you and you're dead here, that sort of thing. So you just gotta be careful about walking in straight lines. But we do land the pulse, and I do like that we got close before we went for it, so that's good. We notice how we blink recall, which usually is just a waste of the blink if we recall immediately afterwards. So that's just a bad habit to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Then this is the major thing right here, which is that we kind of just, rather than maybe staying high ground and shooting at the Widowmaker, we run the cart, which maybe isn't like the best decision in the first place, because and high ground. But besides that, the main thing here is that we run and kind of stand on top of cart, and that's just a lack of cover. We don't have cover anywhere here unless we're using the cart, and we're not doing that. So even if we are near it, we need to be using it when people are shooting at us. If we're just standing next to something, then it's not going to do anything unless we actually duck behind it, right?
Okay, got you. Are you supposed to do a lot of damage with Tracer? Because I would get like
Mhm.
I could have the most kills in the game, and then somebody on my team will be like, Tracer, you're so trash.
Yeah. So Tracer as a character is not very high in burst damage, and not very high in damage dealt in general. As a character, so anyone who's saying that, honestly, I wouldn't take. You can just mute them up and don't worry about it. Honestly, if anyone's saying that, even if you were doing bad, that's still not something I would just mute them anyways. because at that point, hopefully, you are. But damage, damage is not something that Tracer does in excess in comparison to other DPS. Other DPS will be doing more damage. Where Tracer thrives is in what regard? What would you say is her strength in comparison to other
Clean up,
DPS?
clean up. That's what I feel like. It's clean up. So like, all right. So yeah, you can flank. So
Clean
like,
up.
you can
Yep.
go after the squishies, but like, let's say you go kill a squishy, right? And then you kill a support, and now it's 3v4 because I'm not there. Then I can pin the tank. I can blink behind. I can pin him so he can't go to his spawn, and I
Yeah.
can kill him.
So and you pretty much nailed that. And in other words, your play style as Tracer is you're an opportunist, and this is because your primary strength, put in more raw terms, is your mobility and your survivability based off of your mobility, right? You're one of the fastest and most mobile characters in the game, but you also don't do and you do like consistent damage, but you don't do high burst damage, which makes you good at what you said, cleanup, or in other terms, up going and searching for opportunities. So opportunities would be like this person's 1 HP. Tracer's going to be doing an excellent job of swooping in and finishing off someone who's low, whereas a sniper might not be able to do that. Like if Mercy's 1 HP behind a shield, Tracer can blink through, shoot her once, and then recall out, right? Whereas a sniper, they're gonna be stuck shooting at a shield, right? So that's her specialty. She can go on people who are out of position, like someone who's isolated and by themselves. She can farm up a pulse bomb, go in off of pulse bomb. She can whittle people down and make them low herself and create the opportunity herself. She can go in with other teammates if they're diving in with her, that sort of thing. So she is a character thrives off of opportunities. So I would encourage you to look for opportunities and try to go for those. Make sense?
Yeah, got
Yeah.
you.
So it's not a major unless it's like absurdly low in terms of damage. Like you are going throughout the game, then it's not a big deal. Damage and healing raw stats and mitigated damage. None of those are really what matter unless they're absurdly off, because the other things like kill death ratio on DPS is going to be much, and tank are going to be much better reference of how you're actually doing performance wise in a lot of cases. And then supports, honestly, it's going to be a lot more about like, firstly KD, but then also like ability usage and things like that comes a lot more into play than just how much healing are you doing. That's not really what defines how well you're doing.
Okay.
Back again! Did you miss me?
With certainty.
Nerf this! Heroes never die. Reach up!
Okay, so I can identify a couple of things wrong here. So firstly, we kind of delayed on noticing because Hanzo shot like arrows past our screen, which we can see visually. So we want to make sure we're watching for arrows flying by our head, and we go, "Oh, there's not a Hanzo in front of us. Hanzo must be behind me." And also, you can see kind of the direction of the arrows. Also, listening and keeping our ears open for Hanzo's footsteps and gunshots. And then we also just want to be aware that, be careful of him walking back from spawn and things like that. So that's awareness, paying attention to Hanzo here. The other thing is that we're way too far away from Hog, which maybe we'll go. I think we might be going over ranging in a minute here. The third thing is that we're spending a lot of time looking at the Hog here, which probably isn't the target that we want to be spending our whole time focusing at the moment. We don't have to go insanely in depth on it, but generally speaking, you want to go for high value targets and easy to kill targets. Now, tanks are high value targets in terms of not that they're the best role and that they're, no other role can do anything besides tank, but it's just to say that they can get large immediate burst value. And then probably DPS is second and then support is third on that list. DPS and support being very close. But then on the flip side, you also have easy to kill, and tanks are designed to be hard to kill. That is the intention behind them. They have 2 to 3 times the health of other characters. They have armor, tanking abilities. They have shields. Overall, not gonna have an easy job going about killing them. And therefore, probably don't want to spend much of our time on them unless we have the opportunity, like they're low, they're out of position, or unless they're the only thing we can shoot at, like if a tank's in our face, or if they're the only one left alive, then of course go for them. But we don't want to be spending our whole game going after them when, especially on Tracer, you can just go and actively seek out another character very easily. Like Soldier, here would probably be a better target than the Hog. Diva's kind of in your spawn right now. That'd be a better target than the Hog.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
What do I
Yeah.
do though when the team is like, let's say sometimes you get into games and the enemy team is like glued together. They're all like together.
Passive while you poke and shoot and try to poke and prod at them. You're just playing at a little bit more of a range, and you are using cover, and you're looking for an opportunity to open itself, or you're trying to make an opportunity for yourself. And then once that happens, like let's say your teammates are pushing aggro, or you farm up pulse bomb, or somebody's low HP because maybe you shot them and they're low HP, then you can get a little bit more aggro and push in and finish off the kill. And that's kind of Tracer's playstyle, once again, as
Yeah, for sure.
Right, so a little bit of misblinking here, like we blink into. Firstly, be careful about, like, I think we've done this a couple times where we'll blink multiple times in a row without kind of real purpose behind it. So like here, notice how we blink backwards, and then oh wait, did I miss something there? What did I miss? Okay, so there, I guess there we blink, and then we blink over to the side here. That one's fine, I guess. But then we blink into the wall here on accident, so that's a misblink. And then we once again blink rewind, which just once again is wasting the blinks. So then now we're down at 1 blink, whereas if we didn't waste the 2, we're at 3 blinks right now, right? Which just gives us a lot more options to work with. Okay, good job stealing that. Watch his health bar, because there he's once again it's 30 HP. So each tick is 25, which means just a hair past a tick is what it is. But he's 2.5 ticks right now, right? So 8 melee is not going to finish him off here. So might be better off going for some shots.
See that horrible aim.
When you're low, I would recommend, especially if you don't have recall or health packs as an immediate option, you should have I need healing bound to a button, because that will let your supports know that you do need healing and where you are in game. It'll get you healing faster. So I'd recommend having that available.
Okay, like up on the D-pad or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Gotcha.
It's go time.
Careful, we're on number
So we come up, we pick targets. Firstly, maybe take like half a second more to pick out like which target do you want to shoot at. Right here, who's probably the best target to shoot at?
The Widowmaker.
Yeah, because Widowmaker's down HP, and then also she by default has 25 HP less than the other characters, right? She's 175, or actually, they still
She's
no, never mind.
150,
Oh,
right?
they reverted it.
Oh.
Dang it, man. When they reverted that messes with my head. Okay, so she is actually back to 200. Correction. But she's half HP right now is one thing. Secondly, on top of that, she probably has the easiest hitbox to hit. She has a big old head. And if she scopes in at all, then you can melt her as well, since she's kind of standing still for you. So she'd probably be the best here, but we kind of zero in on the Hanzo a little early. Okay, gotta be careful about going we're a little too aggro here. Kind of. We're just kind of in the middle of their team. Not really watching the hog respawns. Be careful about trying to take like 1v3s. That's not something we're gonna want to do very often. We can certainly poke and just survive behind them when there's 3 people, but we don't want to be hard engaging into 3 people.
Horrible aim. Oh my goodness. Now that I'm watching the replay, I'm seeing my sight.
Here, Hog actually could have just very easily tanked this. Do you know how? Do you know what his ability does?
He heals himself.
Yeah, but it actually does something else too. Do you know what his E does when he heals?
No, I still
Yeah.
don't.
So his E, when he heals himself, during the duration in which it lasts, it actually does 50% damage reduction, which is enough.
Oh,
Yeah, that's enough to tank a Diva Bomb, which is like 1,000 damage. So that would revert it to 500 damage if he's right on top of it. So that would mean that he's able to tank a Diva Bomb on top of it, let alone a Pulse Bomb, which I think does. Oh, I can't remember. I think it does
300, right?
yeah. I think it might be slightly higher than that. It's possible it does. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Does something around that 300, 400. And if he presses E here, you can very easily tank it. He just doesn't. He's strange. He also kind of stands still for you.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
just note that you might want to be careful about that kind of pulse in the future. If it's just gonna get eaten up by the tank and then not gonna do anything. Good recall.
Nice work, team. Keep it moving.
There can only be one top pilot. Healing stream
Okay.
connected. You are
Very nice. Might want to be pushing cart right now since there's nobody on our team pushing cart since Diva Bomb just blew them up. So we might want to send somebody over there. Otherwise, it's not going to matter how long we like do stuff up here. We're down 2 people, which means you should probably already be backing up, which maybe we can go over a little bit later of like how do you know when to back up, push in, winning or losing. But the big thing is that like it doesn't even matter if we win here because we didn't push card at all.
No time for games. Let's push
Notice
ahead.
the overuse of blinks again. So we blink recall, and then we immediately blink out of recall when nobody's looking at us there. So it just ends up wasting 2 more blinks. And then we blink 2 more times when nobody's looking at us, right? So we got to be
Yeah.
careful about wasting all those. Pay attention to who's looking where. Look at the enemy team. If no one's even looking in our direction, let alone even if they were looking in our direction, are they shooting at you and do you need to use blink, right? Blink has like 3 wait, my thing is it 3 notes. Two primary purposes, right? Use it for mobility and evasion, right? To dodge abilities and ultimates and dodge damage, and then use it for mobility to get from place to place. Right? Those are the two primary usages, and you got to think through here. Okay, well, are we going anywhere with these? Not really. We're kind of just staying in the same spot. And then, are we dodging anything? Well, no, nobody's looking at us, right?
The payload is certain.
Let's try something else.
Okay, and then here
Trying
we're
to get away
kind of
from that Arista
yeah.
because she's unkillable. Let's
Mhm.
Tracer, I feel like. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, no, especially when she has her abilities online. Like I said before, there's gonna be just be a lot of tanks. It just depends on like you have to wait for those opportunities.
Recall.
Notice the blink recall.
Reinforce the payload.
So if I'm gonna recall, never use a blink.
Yeah, pretty much never. Because you know you have to think about it. Like, okay, well, what did the blink do if we could have just recalled during that time that we blinked, right?
Right. I got you.
Okay. Why don't we talk about how do you tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight? And this will also depend on when do you play aggro, when do you play passive. The primary way that you tell this is by watching kill feed. Kill feed will tell you whether or not you're up people or down people on your team. Another thing as well, if you're interested, is you can go into sound settings, and I would recommend turning on play sound when enemy and play sound when teammate eliminated. This will be an audible version of kill feed and will give you a ping sound when people are eliminated. It'll differ in pitch from teammate to enemies, and then also will differ depending on how many people are alive or dead, or dying currently. You wanna pay attention to kill feed, and kill feed will tell you when people are up, when people are down. When you are up or down, 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage or a disadvantage. In those cases, you play you play aggressive or you play passive. And that doesn't mean you fully. It's not lost or won. You don't fully back out or go in. You just adjust a little bit, right? Then 2 to 3 people is a won fight or a lost fight. In those cases, you get extra aggressive to push in, go really hard. And then if you've lost the fight, you get out if you can. And if you can't, you let them kill you because you don't want to stagger yourself, which you're a bit newer. So to define staggering, right? That's just when you die late. If we're dying late, then that means that our team comes back, without us, and they have to make a decision. Do we
Oh,
push
so
with?
it's like that little
Hmm.
cycle that you can fall into.
Yeah, exactly. So your team has a decision: do we push without them, in which case they're at a disadvantage, or do we wait, in which case you've just wasted a bunch of time? And then that can also start a stagger train, which is that cycle of one person goes in and then dies, and then 2 people go in and then die, and then 2 people go in and then die, and then it just keeps going over and over again, right?
Got you.
Um,
Will you
mhm.
I think I added that in the on the Fiverr. I think it was like $5 extra just to have like notes at the end.
Yep. hmm
Okay,
That
cool.
that'll
So
yep that'll be part of it.
all right, cool. I was just gonna ask if you could put that in the notes so that way I
Yep.
can look at it.
100%. It'll be in there. So just pay attention to that. Make sure you're not doing that because that can help. Once you stop doing that as much, then that can stop your team from doing that as much because it stops the cycle from happening as much, right? So overall, it'll just help a lot. And then finally, you don't want to use ults in won or lost fights because when you are ulting in won or lost fights, if you ult in a one fight, it's just overkill. Like, why would you need it when you've already won? And then you could save it for the next one. And then if you've lost, then it's just not going to fix the fact that you lost. And then that's once again, you could just save it for the next fight. Um, so if I exit out here and go to this perspective, take a gander, what's the status of this fight right here?
Oh wow. There's only yeah, we're winning that fight.
At this
And
point, this is one fight.
they're pinned in, yeah.
Yep. So at this point, this is a one fight. So when we go and we use this right here on Hog, this is just an over ult, right? Where it's just know, we already won, so we probably save it for the next one. So gotta make sure paying attention to that. That will help a lot in terms of knowing kind of what's happening at any given moment.
Okay. Should I try to like flick that pulse bomb?
If you're further away, then yes. Or he's currently Eing. We can probably just walk up closer to him, right? There the problem was that let's see, he's moving to the left and we're not aiming to the left, so you have to remember that it's a slow projectile. So if you're further away, you have excuse me. If you're further away, you have to lead your shot, so you have to aim ahead of where he's moving, not at him. That's kind of why, even though we're aiming at him here, it's a projectile that's very slow, and he kind of just dodges it. So you gotta aim it to the left of him, and then also, just like I said before, just getting in on top of him, and more like right here. Now that just means that you're landing it instantly.
Alright.
Okay, a bit better. Good job with the target change there. You know, at this point, this isn't an issue because it's, you know, you're shooting at the only person alive. Let's go over your range real quick as Tracer. Because I've noticed sometimes we're not. I think generally you're kind of getting it, but then there's a lot of times where we'll not really respect it as much as we should be. What range would you say Tracer is as a character?
So if her blink is like, what, 7 meters?
Yeah, like 8 meters.
Right. Does her fall off be like for shooting? Would it be like 4 meters or 7 or 4 to between 4 and 7 meters?
Not that close, so it doesn't have to be that close. But it is closer than what we're playing at. So you're gonna start to see fall off, if I'm not mistaken. You can think I think it's like 12 meters, if I'm not mistaken, on when you start to see fall off damage. So I mean, we can just demonstrate it here, right? You're gonna the further away you go, you're gonna experience fall off damage, so you do less damage the further away you go. You're also gonna experience a lot of spread, so you're shooting a lot of tiny little bullets, and a lot of those bullets are gonna miss and go around them the further away you go, where you know not everything's hitting from far away. And then on top of that, further away targets are harder to hit. So they're smaller and more difficult. So if we're right here on somebody, 10 meters away, we can shred someone in a clip, right? I mean, if we're right here, we can shred them in half a clip. You know, we can shred them in a clip from here, right? Same, or pretty much same thing, right? We go to 15 meters. Okay. Oh, now we start to see it's a little bit worse, where maybe we can probably finish someone off in a clip most times, but maybe it's slightly inconsistent.
And that's with headshots too. That's if I'm hitting headshots. So in the body, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, if we're hitting body here, like notice I'm aiming down here. Yeah, that's not gonna be a one tap.
Yeah, you'd have to like blink in melee.
Yeah, and then even from that range, you're not even in blink melee range.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then back here, right? Notice how we're doing even less. It's gonna be at this range, you might be hard pressed to even get a one clip. Yep. I don't know if we're gonna be able to one clip them from this range. And then further away you go, it gets harder and harder. Look at how much we're doing from back here.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. So your effective range, typically the preference range is 10 meters is probably your best preference, because this is within the effective range, and then also your blink range for melees and pulse bombs, right? And whatnot. Then 15, and then probably 20 meters is like your cap on your range. Past 20 meters, you probably want to be getting within 20 meters. 15, 25, notice what you're doing from here too, right? Like you're not doing anything past that. So there's a big drop in effectivity from 20 to 25 meters. So we got to make sure we're staying within this range against enemies when we're shooting at them. Now, of course, That doesn't mean any and all times. There will be situations where you cannot get closer, like if it's going to get you killed to get closer. But whenever possible, we want to be getting closer. All make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, there when we're shooting a hog, we're shooting a hog from like back here, right? We're just a little too far away, and it's just gonna make our effectiveness go down. We're not gonna be able to do as much.
And also, I think too with hogs, I have like hog PTSD from his hooks. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I get scared to get too close to him because
Hmm.
if I don't see him throw his hook, I'm just gonna assume he has it.
Yep. Cut. Cover. A. B. Blinks. Right. Anticipate it. Look to blink out of the way. Oh, I was gonna go over one more thing there. With blinks. When you are blinking against enemies, you want to blink. Now, this might be slightly more difficult. It seems as though you might have a lower. Now, I'm not an expert on. I'm gonna be quite honest. I'm not an expert on like console sensitivities, and stuff like that. And settings for console. But it looks as though you have a lower sensitivity for your controller, and this might make it a little bit more difficult to like make fast turns. Um, if I'm not mistaken, but the general idea is when you're dueling people, you want to be blinking behind and to the sides of them, not in front of them. So in your duels, a lot of the time, what we'll do is there'll be a person. Let's say I'm trying to find an example. They're all stinking running back and forth, but there'll be a person here, and let's say the bot's just looking this way at us. He's not turning around and running away all the time, but he's looking at us, and what you'll do is you'll go from here to here. And the problem is that if you're going from there to there, you're still staying within the bot's field of view, right? So all they have to do is it's a difference between aiming here and aiming right here, which isn't that much of an adjustment. It's still an adjustment. It still makes it harder, but it's not that much of one. Whereas now let's say we blink, instead of blinking from here to here, let's say we blink from here to there. Well, now we've just completely left the field of view of the enemy, and we're behind them. And this does two things. Firstly, it means to hit us, they need to turn all the way around to look at us. And the other thing is that we've left their field of view, so even if they turn around, they don't know where we are, which will take even longer to locate us and shoot at us. So we kind of leave their their field of view, and adds an element of a surprise element in there. And you can do this multiple times throughout a duel, where we can blink past them and go through them, and then they turn around, and then we go do it again, and then we're behind them. Right? You just want to anticipate your own blinks, and we blink past, so we're turning as we're blinking. Like I said, it might not be as fast if you have a lower sensitivity, but I'd still kind of get used to that of blink past, turn around, blink past, turn around. Make sense?
Yeah, my sensitivity's on like 80.
Mhm.
So,
If you went into like the practice range, does that seem like doable in it to blink past and turn around?
I think I'm about to do it. Yeah, I
Yep.
can't like just 180, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
yeah, I can blink past and turn around
Yep.
pretty
So
quickly.
yeah. So that's gonna definitely be helpful in your dueling, because it's gonna make it so that you're able to kind of outmaneuver people.
Shit. So cool. Okay, that works. And so what I just did was I just lowered my vertical sensitivity to like 60. That way I can, because it's going up and down seems a little too fast for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
to if you when we talked about the placement,
Yeah. It's there's not gonna be as much up and down mobility in this game. There still is, because you have to adjust up and down for high grounds and low grounds, and
The payload moves.
Let's try something else. Your time's up.
uh-oh. I think, did that get us? That got us in the other one is in the quick play game we were in as well. So as that, I guess, reminder refresher, watch out for Diva remeching. That does like 250 damage. So be careful not to get smushed by her remeching. And yeah, don't stand on top of her as she's remeching. Just give it a little bit of a range so we're not getting smushed. And then that way we don't die. Yeah, another thing as well as especially like the further back in range you go, you want to aim kind of lower down on the head, so still on the head but a little towards the lower end. And maybe you saw me doing that in the practice range, but that's because once again you have spread and you kind of want that spread to be mostly head centered, but then also like if you don't want it to go off of the head into nothing, you want it to be mostly head and maybe a little bit of body. So aim a little bit lower on the head, closer to the neck, so that you're still hitting mostly headshots, but you're not missing any of your spread damage.
God.
And then that won't be as a thing you need to do necessarily on every character, but Tracer, who does have larger spread. Okay. For two things for reference. Firstly, no matter what tank you're putting it on, note that you're probably gonna have to do follow-up damage to even get the kill on them. And so unless I probably look to avoid pulsing a tank unless they're already low or out of position or something like that, or you can't, or you think that you and your team can help burst them down. That's like kind of when you do it. But then also note that, like with Roadhog, Orissa's Fortify, which notice how when she ults, look at her, she turns gold, and she activates her ability Fortify when in ultimate. Even if she's already used it, it'll activate Fortify, and that means that she does not take stuns or boops, and it also reduces damage by 50%.
Okay, I actually didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I probably look to avoid it because once again, notice how that's not really doing a whole lot here even after we land it. All right, she tanks most of it primarily because of the Fortify, and then she uses Fortify again. Also, I think it's rude. You can't do headshots as well when she's fortifying, though. That I can't remember if they reverted that. I don't think you can. Yeah, it didn't sound like you were. Okay, bit of target priority off being in these fights. Okay, right now, what's kind of the stage of the fight?
Well, we're down a player. Yeah, we're down 3 players, so it's not really a good fight. They're all bunched up together, and they have their healer right in the middle of them.
Getting out if we think we can get out, so maybe we can just, if we wanted to, we could just run away into their spawn, right? Like come over, grab a health pack, hang out, just outmaneuver them is something we can do. Right? Like you can think like, okay, who's gonna chase us? For the fight to start, or if we wanted to, we could suicide into them and just reset for the next fight. But we probably could just survive here. But I would imagine that we're probably just gonna stay and hang out in the fight, which isn't good. Now they did just give us an opportunity, and they kind of a better team would probably push you a little bit, but here it's just the baby diva who's chasing you for some reason. So this is an example of, this is where Tracer thrives. This is a very clear opportunity on half HP, baby diva who's out of position to finish her off. Melee. Oh, Link past her. Alright. Just gotta get used to those ranges with Blink. Target priority. Looking at, soldier first, hog second.
Have we been here before? Back in the fight. Recording the payload.
I still plan to get you home.
Present for you.
Seconds remaining.
Okay, so noting that once again, pulse bombs used at this point. They're just kind of doing the 1 by 1 by 1 trickling in, or 2 by 2, right? Save it for the fight. Generally, ults want to be used in the fight, usually at the start of a fight. Then mid fight is okay. Late fight is situational. In between fights, though, is very rare. The exception would probably usually be like if it's last fight, right? And you're just you're staggering them before the last fight, something like that. But here we probably want to. They have enough time for an entire full contest, so we probably want that for when the actual fight starts.
Who's on fire? I am.
On your six.
I think we nearly almost got accidentally hooked there.
I'll take a redo.
Not sure what that one was. We kind of blinked in, and then so we double blink in, and then we recall. It's possible we didn't really see Hog like healing there or something like that, but make sure that we are not wasting all of our abilities.
Take a redo.
10 seconds.
Let's get a move on and finish this.
Good target priority there. All right, so relooking here, this would actually usually be good target priority, except for we missed the fact that Zarya is low there, on the bottom right.
Oh, I didn't even see
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't see her until I glanced at the top left, but that'd still be visible. So just keep your eyes open. That'd be once again touching in on awareness. That'd probably be a really high value target to kill if we're shooting at Zarya. Nope, good job there. That we're kind of blinking around her, but then we kind of lose track of where we are here. So we end up getting her low. And then we blink and we're kind of looking in the wrong direction, and then we miss our shots.
I'm panicking.
we melee the wall.
Have we been here before?
There we go.
Reinforce the payload.
Team kill.
For practicing general mechanics, I guess a couple things. Firstly, this is a comp game. Do you generally warm up before you play comp?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I just suck at. I just suck at shooting. That's all.
All good. How do you usually warm up?
I just go into quick play, and I'm like, okay, if I have a good game, then I just get on comp.
Okay.
Does that make
So
sense? I don't have like a routine, so I'll just get
Mhm.
on right and try and get like a quick 25 kills, and then I'll hop on comp.
Okay. So typically, what warming up is for, generally speaking, warming up is specifically for your aim, because that's the thing that will decay and rust the fastest. So you can go a day without playing or a night without playing, and then that means that the next day your aim is rusty again because it's muscle memory and it'll start to fade away. Whereas your game, like your knowledge about the game, won't go away as that fast, right? You won't come by the next day and then be like, "Oh, how do I play Tracer?" Whereas if you're gone, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then that might start to fade a hair, right? You need to get back into the swing of things. But aim is definitely the thing that deteriorates the fastest, and therefore the primary purpose of your warm up is to de-rust your aim and to kind of get back into the swing of things. It's to get your blood pumping. I mean, you're not really doing too much movement with your thumbs, but get the theoretical, getting your blood pumping and getting your aim back into the swing of things. So that's what you're really trying to warm up is your aim. So for that purpose, I would probably recommend something other than quick playing. Now, I'm not sure if there's very much of a difference on console of like how popular are different workshop modes and things like that. I'm not sure if there's a shift in popularity, but my recommendation would be to play something that's more aim intensive than quick play.
Like
Such
deathmatch.
Yeah, like such as deathmatch. Tryhard free for all is a great one, or just regular free for all deathmatch. 1v1 arena, aim arena are all options. There's also custom like aim trainer workshop codes you can use, as well as different as options for warming up your aim. And those can do a lot more. Usually those won't have objectives or teammates to worry about, and they're gonna be a lot more aim and mechanic and dueling focused, which will help practice and warm up those elements of your kit. So you'll, for example, have more situations like that 1v1 against the Sojourn. You'll have more instances of that will let you practice at that. Does that make sense? Right, your mic kind of cut out there, I think. But
Yeah, I said got you. Yeah,
all right, gotcha.
yeah.
Round one.
Hey, question.
Hmm.
Would you say I'm like pretty okay in bronze, like okay bronze player?
Yeah, honestly, like the skill of all of bronze is much better than what I used to be. um, yeah, I mean, definitely not the worst bronze gameplay I've ever seen. Bronze, especially back in the day, used to have people running around, and you'd have like three people standing on top of you, and you wouldn't even notice them. So it's
Wow.
yeah, like it's there's a lot of improvement, I think, in the general community. And then also like do you know what are you currently ranked? You're currently ranked bronze 1, you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bronze 1. Yeah, I
And then
honest
silver
mhm,
two in roll.
Roku. Yeah, honestly, I'd say just keep playing. It's probably just bad loss streak. If you don't mind me asking as well, when you did go on your loss streak with your roll, or sorry, with your open queue, over what course of time was that? And how many
When I first
how many
started
losses?
when I first started playing, um, yeah, it was a bunch of losses. And two, also, this is before I even decided, like, okay, I really like this game. I'm gonna get on YouTube and try and learn something. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So there was a lot of really bad things that I was doing. So like one, blaming my team instead of trying to see what I can do.
Mm,
Um, two, it would be like, okay, I would like quit out of a competitive match. You know what I mean? Like just dumb shit like that. You know what I mean? Like when I first started playing.
mm,
So when I started watching videos, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, so no matter how bad the game is, no matter how I'm doing, one, we don't quit. Two, we don't tilt. You know what I mean? Get mad and blame our team. You know what I mean? Three, it's like these guys, like try to see if I can do it. What am I doing wrong? Or if they have my number, what can I do to support them? You know what I mean?
yeah. So you think you kind of just hopped in a little too early without really giving it much care or thought, and then that kind of was what dropped you down, and then now you're putting more effort in. So yeah, you'll probably start to I would imagine start to climb up, hopefully soon.
Yeah. And I think right now I belong where I'm at. I don't think I need to be a rank up. I think when I
Mhm.
get the rank up, I did it because I deserve it. Not because oh I'm a gold plat player off. You know what I mean? No, I
Yeah.
understand that I'm pretty mid. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
that's the best part though is to like, and I think what Goofy is like what really got me in is like okay, like I would have good games and I was like okay, I can see the potential. So I'm fast now, but if I keep playing, I won't be fast. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It'll take time. So I just see the potential through time.
All right, gotcha. By the way, your mic keeps like going in and out, so I'll hear like a couple words very clearly, and then I'll hear like a bunch of words that sound like you're underwater.
Can you hear me now?
uh, yeah. You said can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can take my AirPods out and just use my phone speaker if I need to.
Yeah, that was clear.
Okay.
The bet. Hackers incoming. Stop the payload.
Good melee. Okay. Going really aggro without abilities, be careful, because if we don't have abilities, we're not gonna be able to get out, right? We can't really disengage. So notice how we used recall. We're all out of blinks, and we're still going in, kind of inside their Zarya and their Kiriko. So gotta be careful of that. And I think it maybe gets us killed, maybe not. Oh, we just barely get out, right? So that especially the higher up you go, that'll get you killed. So we gotta be careful of that.
Much better.
Okay. Once again, kind of blink straight onto the open there. Want to be careful of that.
Moria is such a bad matchup for me as Tracer. I
Struggle in what regard?
killing Moria. I'm not good enough to just
Mm-hmm.
go into a game and just one clip every squishy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I struggle with her, Junkrat, because Junkrat touches you, you basically die.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yep. So just make sure you're not standing on top of his face. Look to blink around his shots. Once again, act as an opportunist. Don't feel like you have to force the one clip. That sort of thing.
So Hanzo's get me too. But
Say
it's
that
like
again?
a 50-50 with Hanzo. I said, and
Yeah.
Hanzo's get me too, but it's like a 50-50 with him.
Yeah. Blink behind him. Pretty much everything we've been saying. Here we just get a little too aggro, where we don't have any abilities and we're kind of blinking into their team. Gotta be careful. Going for that health pack might be inferior to getting healed by your teammates and your supports if you're like 20 HP and the health pack's inside their team. Okay. Okay, so kind of noting current target priority. Now let's quickly discuss, guess a bit about.
Did I just stagger right there?
There, it was like a 4v5 technically. I think your team probably still wanted to like regroup slightly because I think your Mercy and Sojourn were about to die anyways, because they were both low HP. So it was like an iffy situation to run back into. I probably would have just grouped up with the team or back, like, weighted back, right? That sort of thing. Let's talk about how you can more effectively work with your range as Tracer, and then also work with the target priority we were talking about before. So if we're coming into fights and enemy team's right there, our team's right here, and we're shooting down here, well, we're gonna be shooting into tanks and shields, and they can just block us, right? And that's an issue because as we've already discussed, we don't want to be shooting at those things. Now, we could just wait for the opportunity of, like, maybe they run out around the shield, or maybe we can blink into them, but then that poses issues like we're going to be taking a lot of damage and gonna maybe get stunned, and we're going to have a lot of pressure. Whereas what we can do is very easily do something like this, and then now we've just gotten around the shields and the tanks and the abilities and straight to their backline with a surprise advantage because they don't really know that we're here, so we get that first second of a surprise. There's less damage and abilities coming our way, and we also split their resources like this, where if they put abilities on us, then they don't. That's stuff that's not going down main to our team, right? So overall, this is what you call an off angle. It's very safe and very fast. Notice how fast we can get back to our team. And then this is the main angle of a fight. To give you two more examples, enemy team, our team, main angle. We can come around to the high ground real quick. very easy off angle where you've just kind of around the shields and the tanks, straight to the back line. And high grounds are fantastic because they give you a lot of visibility like this. They act as off angles as long as we're above them. Not as much when they're a mile away because then they can still shield us easily. Okay. Another example. Enemy team, our team, main angle. Just come off to the side here real quick, right? Very fast, very safe. And kind of, as Tracer, usually you want to kind of play to the sides of the enemies. Usually you don't want, you can, not a preference of yours to play on the front. Sides is best. Back is okay, though it might be a little bit more dangerous with less options if we're behind them. And then front is okay, you know, is okay as well. But sides are usually the best. So instead of, you know, if the enemy team's facing this way, side would be kind of this, but then also like this over here. Behind would be like over here, which would be a lot more dangerous to work with, right? So you just gotta kind of be careful. That all makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed with Tracer, you're kind of like, you're playing for your life.
Yeah, 100%. Be careful about off angle, or sorry, flanking, because there's a difference between the two. Enemy team, our team, main angle. Flank would be if we went all the way around and all the way around. Now, flanks are generally speaking more longer and more dangerous. Tracer, as a very survivable and fast character, can actually do flanks. She's just not going to want to do them a long flank in the middle of a fight because then you're out of the fight for a super long period of time, right? So save the longer flanks for in between fights is best for those. But just be aware that they're different and be careful of them. And then not every character is going to want to go for flanks. Some characters want to avoid flanking just because of how long and dangerous they are.
Here goes nothing.
I see.
Welcome to Circuit Royale. Ready for battle.
A friend of
So here, an easy one would just be like using this right room right here. Right? Where this would just, going through here just puts us on a little bit better of an angle. Maybe gets us a tad bit, this gets us around the tanks to the squishies. Bit of surprise, bit of everything we just talked about. So this is just an example of one that we can be doing here rather than just walking in down main. And then I'll also gotta watch standing still because I think we kind of stand still there and get headshot as a result. So we gotta be careful about that. Almost walked into that one, but we did it. Ooh. Hey, that was a pog play.
I just wanted to make sure she died. That's why I looked up and started shooting.
Yeah, no issue. Though also we kind of gotta get the timing down because by the time we looked up, she was already coming down. So maybe pre-aiming down would be a good idea. And then here we let the Kiriko get away. Probably could have killed her there. Okay, using a lot of blinks there. Probably a couple of those weren't needed. So just be careful of the over blinking. Good shots. Alright. Once again, as demonstration, we don't have to spend the whole time on this, but you know, just look at where Crosshair is again, right?
Yeah, the bot died too. Okay, for sure.
Nice kill. Uh-oh. Okay, they just stared at us? I don't know why they stared at us.
Think so.
much better.
I don't know if I can get away from this diva.
Blinding. I'll take a redo.
So would you say one of my biggest problems, like, I guess it is a mechanics thing, would be blinking and then recalling. That's like one of
Um,
my really bad habits.
I would
I'm sure there's.
honestly, I wouldn't, even though I'd say it's a repetitive thing, I wouldn't say that it's the biggest thing. I just mention it when as it comes up, and it comes up a lot. But I'd say there's a lot more pressing issues with your gameplay, which at the end of the session, last will take like 12 minutes or so to go over the wrap up and then the main points and do a review over everything we went over, and just kind of go into all that. And I'll kind of give my opinions on like what's the most important things, but yeah, probably over blink because that the only thing that's doing is it's wasting one blink, right? And that's at the end of the day, that's not the end of the world. That can probably get you killed sometimes and end up meaning you're not able to do as much. But things such as knowing when being aware of your surroundings and knowing when you've won or lost fights so far, that's been a much more massive thing in affecting your gameplay. Crosshair placement's been pretty big. General mechanics: who are you shooting at? Positioning: are you using cover? Are you going on the flanks? Are you within your range? Those are all have been much bigger things than the occasional misuse of your blink, or sorry, the frequent misuse of your blinks, but it's still
All right.
the other things are probably a bit bigger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. And by the way, since we're approaching the end, do you have any other questions or anything that you'd like to go over?
Oh, yeah, I guess I do have one question, but it's not like a really important question. What would be like a few things you say I do really well, at least for my
Sure.
rank? Because I know like
Yeah.
up there, you know what I mean. I'm probably
Hmm.
like if I was placed with GM, I would just get shit on. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
like for my, like, what do you see things that I do like really
Yeah.
well? I guess for
So
where I'm at.
you already seem to have like pretty solid. Besides when you like blink in the wall, like right there, you just had a really good outmaneuver of Diva, which is good. So I would say generally you, besides the occasional ability and thing like that, if you're being new, you do have a good sense of the abilities and like and what and ultimates and what to avoid and watch out for. Besides the occasional like lack of knowledge on something. Besides that, let's see what else is there. I think that you're not honestly too bad at using cover. I'd say it's not something we're really thinking about, but we're still doing it. Like we're not out in the open as much as some other players are.
Okay.
um, and like I was saying before, like general awareness, though, once again, it's not the best. I've definitely seen bronze players with much worse awareness of their surroundings. Like I said, like they'll be, I mentioned before where there was a Hanzo shooting at us, and we didn't notice him for maybe like 4 seconds. I've seen examples where someone's completely oblivious to someone behind them for 10 seconds. Right? It's just much worse than that. Yeah. That answer the question?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Cool. What about the like knowing when to recall? Would you say it's pretty
Oh yeah,
solid,
yeah.
or could I be
That
better
one.
at recalling?
Be honest. Sorry, that's a good point. Recalls honestly been really excellent. Not a lot, and that's why I haven't really been mentioning it at all. A lot more problems with Blink, but Recall in particular, you've gotten a really good handle on. Primarily just you recall when you are in danger and when you have taken damage, right? And or you need to recall from a negative effect, such as a nade or something like that, right? So far, I don't know if I've seen maybe like one or two misusages, but not many usages of recall. It's primarily just been like the blinks that will screw up and blink into a wall or something like that, right? But
Got you.
recall's been really solid.
Cool.
Persistence is always rewarded.
Oh, got a little lost there.
Yeah.
Smashing! Get it?
So, right here,
I'm.
maybe once again, like it's being used in between the fight. Maybe not super needed because now you got to think of it like this as well. Of yes, we get to pick, but then that stalls them for 10 seconds, right? Of waiting for that respawn. And though that is value, well now let's say they come into the next fight and they have an ult advantage, so they're going to be more likely to win that fight. And then because they win that fight, they go and take half of the point. So like you got to kind of think about like which is worth more, definitively winning a fight or just staggering someone for 10 seconds. When alternatively, you can possibly even just, if she's scoped in like this, you could possibly just like blink in and just, if you're aiming at level there, she might get shredded down pretty fast. Like if she's scoping in like that, you'd be surprised. Widowmaker is very easy of a target to mow down. But does that make sense once again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to hammer in on the point, but now that's like that's like number 4.
No, you're good. Would you say those like, am I meleeing too much?
Melee. I would say is coming a little bit. Yeah, I would say maybe a tad bit much. I'd say you gotta fine tune it a little bit. Where sometimes we'll melee when they're too high of HP, or we'll melee alternatively after they're dead.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
we'll melee into a wall. Or some stuff like that. Or we'll melee when they're half HP, which isn't usually gonna do very much usually. So I'd say fine tune it a bit more, and there's a tad bit too much meleeing, but I still like that you're attempting to go for it, and it's just something you're gonna have to get used to. It's good that we're attempting the tech though,
Gotcha.
because once again, that's a tech that like most bronze players like don't generally implement. Here, once again, notice like how we're going and blinking in and meleeing, and look at our health bar. It's not gonna finish her off, so we're better off reloading at that point. Okay. Make sure we're keeping our camera on the enemy, because we're kind of like turned back towards our teammates. So I'm not really sure what we're looking at there, because then that just meant that we're kind of oblivious to the enemies that are surrounding us.
Got you. Sorry, I was trying to see who I had with me,
Oh,
but I
okay,
didn't
okay.
realize that was a bad habit.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think here, because that's fine, but I mean, like, I guess we probably should have been doing that like this entire time, as we see Moira and we had Moira and Mercy right here, and we had Moira and Mercy right here on our screen, and we have them here on our screen. We can see our teammates through walls, right? So we have them here on our screen. And then we go and look away, and then we turn back again, and it was like, oh, I've been staring at them for 10 seconds. I wonder who's with me, right?
Yeah, true. Okay, I got you. I got you.
Yeah. So once again, it gets a little bit into awareness, right? And then because we took so long to notice that they're there, well, now we're kind of are like right here, so we got to be watching for that. I'm still not sure if we know where he's at right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I had to get away from that dude, bro.
Request healing. Probably can be a bit faster than running all the way over here for health pack. Yeah, just remember that you don't always need to be 100% self-sufficient. Usually it's a good idea to try to be, but not if it's putting you out for longer than if you just press I need healing and then get healed up by your teammates.
Got you. I was getting healed this game, but a lot of games, and I think maybe it's just a rank issue. But in my it's like an issue within my rank is that
Yeah.
sometimes the healers sometimes only heal they can.
Yeah. So So I hear. The other thing is just making it easier for them, right? Putting ourselves close to them, even potentially putting yourselves in front of them. Spamming. I need healing. I need healing. Right, making yourself easy to get to. And then, of course, if they're not healing you, then try to go for a health pack. There's not much you can do at that point if they don't.
Surrender my will. That will be all.
Okay. Going at the moment with our team a little hard when ground advantage here as well if we're holding with our team. If we the further we push in this way, the more of a spawn advantage it gives them. And we have like a very clear advantage that we're pushing on. Whereas here, I think our whole team just kind of push into their spawn even when we're down people. That ends up getting us killed. Gotta watch out for getting too aggressive in situations that can't really back it up.
So would you say I play overly aggressive, or is
Yeah.
it like overly aggressive at times?
That's in that situation.
Okay.
Overly aggressive, not all the time.
I'll take a breather.
Oh my goodness, that aim is just horrible, and I see it too, but it's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for it to get better. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right. While we head back here. Has anybody showed you yet? I don't know if you've seen on YouTube videos or anything that you can blink up objects as Tracer.
Yeah, like you can't blink super high, but you can
Yeah.
blink onto things. I should have blinked onto that staircase, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't giving a specific example there. I'm just saying we're starting to wrap up a little bit, and I was just thinking of like anything extra that I can mention for Tracer. So like here, for example, notice how that's above us, especially if you jump and then do it as well. So jump to get a little bit of height, and then you can blink. So that you probably could have even made even before the change. So we can probably no, we're not gonna be able to do it from there. But for example, we can do this as well. If we jump, and then even if we're gonna jump this and then blink it, and it kind of travels us upwards a little bit. So that's just gonna be handy to travel up and get high grounds. I think that's a little bit too high, so we're not gonna be able to get up that high. Yeah, it's just too high at that point. But that's something else to keep in mind and try out. I think that's about it for the moment then on Tracer. Let's start doing a wrap-up review. Main points. Abilities. Recall. Pretty solid. But watch the blink recall, because that just ends up wasting the blink. Blinks, be careful about wasting too many. We don't want to double up on blink usage if it's not going to give us a purpose. Like if we want, there's select circumstances where we can double blink. Like if we're trying to catch up to someone who's low HP, and we really when we need to use it for double blink, we use it for double blink. Coming back from spawn, catching up to somebody who's low HP, someone who's out of position. Maybe we have to triple blink over to this guy so we can land the pulse bomb, right? That sort of thing. But we don't want to just use them when it's not going to do us anything. So if we, if we're in a duel and we blink and then immediately blink again, well then what did the first blink do, right? Or I guess what did the second blink do, right? It just kind of overlaps its purpose with the first blink. Blink behind people or to the sides of people, not to the front of people. Usually, if possible, so we can go from this way and go behind them. We can go like diagonally and go like to the side, diagonal to the side and behind. Besides that, watch blinking into walls. Blinks are primarily used for movement and for dodging things. Be careful that we're not like kind of. I guess we need to get a little bit better of knowing when do we need to dodge things, because sometimes we'll estimate, like kind of misjudge when they're trying to use, like hogs trying to hook, for example. We'll misjudge that a little bit, something like that. Range is 8 meters. I think that's about it, right? You travel upwards on things, which you already knew. Then overall abilities probably went to about like a medium, maybe lower end of a medium priority for you to work on. Then comes your ult usage. Blink melee, right? Blink pulse bomb, which is the same thing as blink melee, right? Same range, same style. Is how you're gonna go for that pulse bomb. Get up as close as possible, unless that's dangerous. Try not to be far away. If you are further away, lead your shots. Go ahead of where they're moving. Try not to do it from a mile away.
I just had an idea. So you know how you blink melee, like the combo?
Zip zap zop.
Can I blink melee and pulse bomb and get out? Like, does that make sense?
Blink melee and then pulse bomb.
Yeah.
My question
Like,
would be why would you want to melee with just 30 damage if the pulse bomb is gonna do 400 damage, right? Or like that.
okay, good point.
That'd be kind of the question of like, okay, well, the pulse bomb's probably going to do most of the work. Melee probably is just going to be extra time that you're on top of them, which the more time you're right here on somebody, the more chance they have to just like go like that until you're dead, right? So we don't want to stay here too long. Usually it wants to be pretty fast. We're in and out, right? In, out, right? Besides that, timing wise, don't use it in between fights. Use it all the time in between fights. Use it at the start of fights. In the middle fights is okay. Late fight is situational. In between fights is very rare. We also make sure you're not using it in won or lost fights. That's another big thing. Overall, the pulse bomb usage was probably like a tad bit more important than the blink usage. I would say, or they're about even-ish. So I'd say it's about a medium, maybe a low to maybe a lower end of medium, but they're almost even. Then comes your mechanics. Aim ahead level, right? A tracer maybe aims the further away you go, especially aim slightly at the lower end of the head. So instead of aiming up here at the high end of the head, where some of your shots might be missing, over aiming in the middle, maybe aim like a little bit towards the lower end, especially the further away you go, and you're getting more spread damage.
Having a rough time.
So is that how my mechanics will get better?
Aiming head level, well that's
Doing that?
yeah. Well, practicing at crosshair placement, that's part of like getting good at crosshair placement. That's definitely going to be part of getting your aim better. Yeah. And then that will be like more proper aim styling. And then aim as well. Keep practicing at it, and then like we were talking about before, warm up and practice in those aim intensive areas, right? That's gonna be how you practice at your aim. Then besides that, focus on, let's see what else is there. Target priority. Make sure you're thinking through who should you be looking at and shooting at. Usually the easiest things to kill, not the tanks, right? DPS and supports most of the time. And I think that's pre-aim, aim where you know people are gonna be. I think that's mostly it. That one was probably above the other two so far. So that one was higher end of a medium, right? I still don't think super massive, but is definitely up there. Then maybe lower end of a medium high, but it's somewhere around that range. Next comes your positioning. Make sure you are using cover. Good positioning is the usage of cover. Bad positioning is the absence of cover. Take high grounds. High grounds are great positioning. Stay within your proper range. 10 meters preference. 20 meters kind of cap on the preference. And then I think that's mostly it. Don't be off on your own in Narnia. Overall, that probably goes to a medium priority for you to work on. Maybe lower end of medium. Once again, yeah, I guess thinking through that, that'd be like more of a lower end of medium. And then finally, we got your awareness. Awareness, pay attention to what's your health bar, request healing. What's your abilities? Make sure we're not going in without abilities and getting aggressive without abilities. Watch what's the enemy team up to. Where are they at? What's their health bars at? What's your team up to? Where are their health bars at? Or like, you know, what's their health bar? What's their danger? What's going on around us? What's happening in our audio awareness? What's happening in kill feed, right? Who's up, who's down. 1 to 2 is advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3 is won or lost fight. Get aggro when you're winning. Get passive when you're losing. If you've lost, get out if you can. If you can't, let them kill you so you don't stagger. And then no ults in won or lost fights. Then, yeah, a lot of the general here and there things. That one was probably the biggest because it fed into your ult usage as well. That one was probably a medium-high priority for you to work on. So to put it all in order, number 1 was probably awareness. Then number 2 is going to be probably your mechanics. Number 3 is your... trying to think. I think your pulse bomb usage will get better as hopefully get better as your awareness improves as well. And now that you know when you should be using it, hopefully it'll be pretty fast. So I guess that one will be number 3. Positioning number 4. Ability usage number 5. Ability usage. Once again, yeah, just that lot of misuses, but hopefully at least as of the current moment, it's not being punished as hard as it could be because we are lower down. So that is about it with that. Real quickly, application. How do you put these things into practice? You put these things into action pretty much the same way you put anything into action, and that is that while you're playing, you're going to make sure that you're actively focusing on them, putting attention and effort. And that means that you're not going to autopilot. You're not just going to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to purely play to win, because then you're just going to kind of stagnate instead of improving and going places and winning more.
Got you. So I'll probably lose a little bit, and things will probably seem like they're slower, like the gameplay will seem a little slower than the fast pace as it feels right now.
Yeah, because you need to kind of work on things and then you'll get better. So there might be a little bit of a learning curve on it, and the intention wants to be improvement. And what that looks like within your gameplay is you're gonna pick something out. Let's say awareness. You're gonna be thinking to yourself, awareness, kill feed, right? And when we think through that, then we're going to be our awareness is hopefully gonna be a little bit better if we're actually thinking about it versus if we're not thinking about it. Right.
Okay.
And when you do that for a long enough period of time, it's going to form it as a positive habit. Once it forms as a positive habit, then you don't really need to think about it nearly as much. It just comes naturally. And then you can move on to the next thing to work on because don't really need to think about that other thing anymore. Final thing, don't try to do everything all at once. Do them one category or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category at a time, especially since awareness is maybe like a larger category. So if it feels like too much, narrow it down, right? I might start with kill feed and paying attention to, are you winning or losing, that sort of thing. That was seeming like maybe a bigger one, higher impact one to be working on and stuff like that. That's about it. Any questions?
Got you. Understood. So do you think I'll end up climbing?
Yeah, well,
especially once I put all these things into play.
I mean, like, obviously I can't guarantee it, but I would think so. You're doing really good for a bronze player, and then on top of that, obviously you got coaching for me, so haha. But really you're gonna climb if you're focusing. You have improvement mindset. If you're putting the time and the effort into it. And you're not just kind of being satisfied with where you're at and you're trying to go further where you're at. Everyone's capable of climbing. I know that because I did it myself. And then, yeah, like I wouldn't be doing coaching if I didn't think people were capable of it.
Right, got you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. And I learned a lot actually. And I was nervous at first because the other guy, I don't know, it was just a really, really bad experience. You felt like I wasted my money, but this felt like it was
Mm.
worth it. You know
Well,
what
glad to hear it.
I mean? Yeah, so yeah, I
That,
learned a lot. Definitely learned a lot. And it was a lot to take in, so I'm glad I paid for the notes.
yep, notes. If you need to, feel free to go back and do the recording.